Welcome to this webinar on our early childhood education programs. A reminder that we'll be running live Q&A sessions throughout Open Day alongside our online chat service. You can find the Q&A schedule on our Open Day homepage. Or alternatively, you can contact us via any of the communication channels that are listed on the final slide. My name's Ray Godfrey. I'm part of the Future Students team and I'll be your webinar host for this event. Joining me is Kylie Nice. Kylie's one of our most experienced lecturers in early childhood education. We'll also be joined by Steve Matheson, who is the Deputy Coordinator of our On-Campus Children's Centre. Steve is a TAFE graduate who's got some really interesting insights into studying early childhood as a mature student and how his career has evolved. We're also really pleased to have Jordan Booth joining us. Jordan is currently studying Bachelor of Education Birth to Year 6 at the Berwick campus, and she'll be sharing some of her experiences as a Federation student. It's worth mentioning here, though, that the course which Jordan is completing has recently had a name change to the Bachelor of Education Early Childhood and Primary, so that's the course you'd be looking for if you're looking to enrol now. Before we commence this session, I'd like to begin by saying that Federation University Australia acknowledges the custodians of the lands and waters where our campuses are located and recognises their continuing responsibility to care for country at these sites of teaching and learning. We pay our respects to elders past and present and extend our respects to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander First Nations people. In this session, we'll be talking about our early childhood programs, including our new Bachelor of Education, Early Childhood Education, which is starting in 2021, as well as our existing Bachelor of Education, Early Childhood and Primary, and the Master of Teaching, Early Childhood. We'll touch on pathways into these degrees, including TAFE. Kylie will tell us a bit about state government incentives relating to 3-year-old kindergarten and how that might affect early childhood career opportunities as well as government scholarships. And as I said, we'll also be chatting to both Steve and Jordan about careers and their insights into being a Federation student. I'm going to hand over to Kylie now to get us started. Thanks, Kylie.
Thanks, Ray. We do have a range of early childhood programs on offer, and you can study full-time or part-time in all of the three following programs that I'm going to discuss. So first off, we have the Bachelor of Education, the Early Childhood and Primary, and that's offered at Mount Helen, Berwick and online. We also have the Bachelor of Education, Early Childhood Education, and that is also offered at Mount Helen, Berwick online and in a flexible mode at the Wimmera and Gippsland campus. And we have a Master of Teaching Early Childhood, and that is offered at Mount Helen and online. The first program we'll look at is the Bachelor of Education Early Childhood and Primary degree. Now this degree provides you with opportunities to work in both early years as well as in primary settings. So you can work as a teacher in a kindergarten, you can work in an early learning centre, and you can also work in that primary school setting. So it's very, very diverse, and you will undertake 110 days of supervised teaching placement, and that will go across the early childhood and the primary settings. So you can be working in a baby's room or in an under 3 years of age setting, and with children 3 to 5, and that can be children who are usually in 3-year-old kinder and 4-year-old kinder. But within that 4-year-old kinder, you do get children who are 5 years of age. And then you will do placements in that primary school setting, so up to grade 6. For this program, there is an ATAR minimum of 70, and the program takes 4 years full time. And you can undertake this on a part-time basis, which will vary depending on how many courses you take a year. The next program that we will look at in the early childhood sector is the Master of Teaching Early Childhood. Now, this program, it builds on your undergraduate degree so that you can become an early childhood teacher. So we have had students who have done a Bachelor of Arts, who have done a Bachelor of Primary, So yeah, Bachelor of Social Science. So it doesn't matter what background you come from, as long as you have a bachelor degree, and that bachelor degree is an approved 3-year degree or equivalent, you can then gain access into the Master of Teaching. Now, the Master of Teaching, it is for teaching early years, so it is from birth up to 5 years of age. And this degree, when you graduate, you will have confidence and skills to teach in preschools throughout Australia and overseas. When this program was put together, uh, the focus of the program was to teach teachers how we teach children in the outdoors. So when we take them out into nature, how can we actually teach and guide children to learn in that environment which still meets the curriculum outcomes? So you will learn how to do that with, using things that are in nature. And for those who don't feel comfortable in moving right outside of a kindergarten fence line, you can also experience that same kind of teaching just in your own kindergarten space. So you will undertake a minimum of 60 days of supervised teaching placement with children aged from birth to 5 years. And this course, it is offered in an accelerated mode, which is 18 months duration. You can study this program full-time or part-time, and depending on what method you take, then it does matter. It does relate to how long in duration then it will take you. The next program is our Bachelor of Education Early Childhood Education program. And in this program, you will develop skills and knowledge to teach in a variety of early childhood settings. So these early childhood settings consist of kindergartens, preschools, early learning centres, and some of our graduates move over into the special education settings in early childhood as well. Now, this program, it does have a minimum of 80 days of supervised teaching placement, and this is conducted with children aged from birth to 5 years. So you might be working in a kindergarten or in a early learning centre with children under the age of 3, because there is a requirement that you do have to do a certain amount of days with children under the age of 3. Now, this course or program goes for 4 years full time, and it has a guaranteed ATAR of 55 when applying. For those who hold a Diploma of Early Childhood Education and Care qualification, your credit will be recognised for the Bachelor of Education program. Now, for employment opportunities, our Federation University past graduates are well known around in a positive light for their knowledge and understanding, their abilities to work as a teacher. And you can do things like teach children from birth to kindergarten. You can be working in an early learning centre. You can work as a director, a room leader, or you can even be an educational leader. You can be a standalone educational leader. Some of the local councils, they actually employ educational leaders to oversee a cluster of early learning centres, and so you would then be supervising people, so people with diplomas and certificate threes, on how to manage the planning for their rooms. There might be some children who are having some issues, and you might oversee some of those roles. You can also be employed as a preschool teacher, is another term, and you can be employed in private and government settings. So there is a vast range there. The Department of Education also employs people as specialists. Now, if you undertake the Bachelor of Education Early Childhood and Primary program, you can also work in a primary school as a primary school teacher, and for all of these degrees you can actually work in Australia or internationally. Throughout this presentation I've actually spoken about students doing professional experience, and simply professional experience is where our pre-service teachers they undertake um, like a placement, I suppose you could call it, um, actually out in services of kindergartens, early learning centres, in primary schools. You can be working in special education environments, and these can be in metropolitan or regional areas. Now, our professional experience is organised by Federation University Professional Experience Team, so students don't have to go and make contact with anybody to find their own placements. So some other universities do that. Here at Federation, we actually find those placements for you, and we organise all the requirements for paperwork and for someone to actually mentor you while you are on placement. Now there is the opportunity to do some diversity placements, and these can be done locally. They can be done interstate or internationally. They are in alternate education settings such as Montessori Australia or Steiner education. It might be in a special education school. And it might be that you have a particular area. So when we talk to the professional experience team, they will actually okay whether that is fine or not. Some of our past Federation University students have participated in placements at schools in the United Kingdom. They've been to China, Germany, Vietnam, New Zealand, Nepal, and they've actually learnt about other cultures and come back invigorated by what they've learnt of how education is so broad across so many countries. One of the great things for those people who are wanting to train to be kindergarten teachers currently is that the state government has some scholarships and some incentives for people who are wanting to work in the early years. Due to the universal kindergarten program that they have in place at the moment, then that simply means that the government are funding 3-year-olds to attend kindergartens and 4-year-old children to attend kindergarten as well. And these kindergarten programs, they actually need trained kindergarten teachers, and kindergarten teachers just aren't out there at the moment. So the government are offering these scholarships, and also for those people who do qualify as early childhood teachers, they have some employment incentives as well for people to work in the early years. So these financial incentives are available for qualified teachers to take up positions in kindergarten services that are delivering funded universal kindergarten programs for 3-year-olds from the year 2020. And be mindful that not all kindergartens are funded by the government. So you do need to make sure that when you're applying for positions that it is for a funded kindergarten program. Further information regarding these scholarships and incentives can be gained from the Department of Education and Training Victoria website, and I do encourage you to go and take a look at them because there are some requirements. But look, definitely go and take a look at the scholarships because they are a great incentive, and they don't come along every day. So that's a really great place to start for people who are considering moving into the early childhood area.
Thanks, Carly. So, how do you apply? Well, everyone applies via VTAC. The only exception to this is mature students who are applying to Federation University only. In other words, if mature students are applying to more than one institution, then you'll need to apply via VTAC also. Now, I've mentioned the applications because I wanted to point out something to Year 12 students. Most of you will know that teaching degrees need a minimum ATAR of 70. The exception to this is our new Bachelor of Education Early Childhood Education, which has a guaranteed ATAR of 55 and no requirement to do the CASPER test. CASPER is an online assessment which is part of the application process for most teaching degrees, but our new Bachelor of Education Early Childhood Education does not require the 78R and nor does it require the CASPER test. Now, you'll find more details and complete application information on our website using the How to Apply link that you can see on the screen at the moment. Now, I'd like to welcome Jordan Booth to our session. Jordan is in her 4th year of the Bachelor of Education Birth to Year 6 at our Berwick campus and is going to chat to us about her experiences as a Federation teaching student. I'll just mention again that the course which Jordan is doing has recently changed its name to the Bachelor of Education Early Childhood and Primary, one of the courses that we've been talking about in this session. Thanks, Jordan.
Thanks, Ray. Thanks for having me tonight. I hope I can provide some insight for our future students. So I chose to study a Bachelor of Education, Birth to Year 6, and essentially this course provides you with the skills to be able to teach in both early childhood and primary school settings. So you can take it anywhere from being a preschool teacher, early childhood teacher, primary teacher, etc. I also chose this course because I wasn't really sure where I wanted to be after finishing it, whether that was a primary school setting, being a kinder teacher, I just didn't know. So doing this course gave me that flexibility to explore my options and move between the areas provided. I also chose this course because it gave me a deeper understanding of child development, which was something that was really important for me because I wanted to be able to teach to the best of my ability. And the depth of knowledge that comes with this course has given me the confidence to be able to go into any early childhood or primary school setting and teach to the best of my ability. It also allowed me to explore various age ranges that I might want to teach. I currently work in a kindergarten setting and I love it, and that's something that I never thought I would really want to do. In future, I do hope to go into primary school settings, but at this point in time, something that I never expected has happened, and being in a kindergarten setting is really awesome. So I applied to a whole list of universities, Federation being one of them, even though I didn't know where they were located or who they were. But since studying with Federation, I can't recommend them highly enough. I've really loved the fact that their class sizes are small, and that's meant that I'm really connected with my peers and my lecturers, and it's allowed me to really excel in my studies. Federation provides really supportive and motivating environments. So, being smaller class sizes means that you can have those open discussions with your peers and lecturers and really sift through your own knowledge and sort out what you know and what you don't know and expand on that. Their course content has always been really relevant, and it's something that I've found really useful when going out on placement. I can take the theory with me and put it into action. In addition to that, I've found that Federation, the lecturers at Federation have really helped me to reflect on myself and my own experiences in relation to teaching. Additionally, Federation has always provided really enjoyable placements, and they've always found schools that are close to home but very welcoming and really helpful with helping you to get to where you want to be. They also provide heaps of opportunities. Federation has allowed me to study and work overseas in a school in Vietnam for 3 weeks, which was really wonderful. I got to see how things work in a different part of the world and work with children who don't necessarily speak English as their first language. So there's always options out there, and Federation has a whole bunch of them, which makes your learning that much more enjoyable. Since studying at Federation Uni, the one thing that's really stood out to me is the enthusiasm and passion that every single lecturer has had for early childhood and primary teaching. I think the best part of their enthusiasm is the fact that they incorporate play into our lectures each week. And that has just brought back so many childhood memories for me and made my learning so enjoyable. This has also allowed me to go out on my placements and be able to work with children at their level rather than just teaching them, playing with them and making learning fun. On top of that, all of our assessments that we have, even though they can be challenging, they're always interesting, and our lecturers attempt to make them as hands-on as possible. So it's not just writing about different theorists, it's actually going and observing children and analysing their behaviour and why things are happening and looking at their play and how their learning can be extended, which is all so relevant to what I hope to do in my future teaching career. Additionally, the endless opportunities that Federation provides are just that, endless. I have been on a diversity placement in my third year to Vietnam, which I mentioned earlier, and that was not only a cultural experience but a career experience. It's something that I'll never forget. A few years ago, I was asked to be an ambassador for a Federation Open Day, which again gave me more experience and allowed me to showcase what Federation can offer. Lastly, the flexibility that Federation offers is also something to be valued. I started out studying online, and as of midway through last year, I chose to move to online learning, and it was a seamless transition. For me, other than not seeing my peers face to face, nothing changed. The quality of learning was just as high and just as supportive. I have not felt alone since making that transition, so it's been great. Some points of interest about this course are, in particular, the hands-on learning that occurs in the classroom. Essentially, we play. We play with many different resources for many different purposes, whether it's for maths, literacy, science, basic life skills, cooking, anything you can think of, we've done it in the classroom. I remember in my first year, we actually made brownies in a pancake maker. That was for maths. And in year two, we did science experiments in the classroom. We've had baby dolls that we've cared for in the classroom. Everything we do is what children do in their day-to-day life at school and in early childhood. So you're really connected to your peers and lecturers through that type of learning. It's really great. Additionally, Federation has really great connections to local schools. So year two saw us go to a local school in Berwick, and we taught a unit of science to a small group of children. We got to conduct an experiment with them, assess their learning, and it was really great to put your theory into practice and be able to make your mark, know that you've done something, but also be able to reflect on that and how you could do it better next time. Lastly, this was a big one for me, diversity placement in year three, which I mentioned before. I went to Vietnam for 3 weeks, and this was exceptional. It's something that I highly recommend. If you do this course, take that opportunity and run with it. There's multiple options of where you can go overseas, but Vietnam was amazing. The people were lovely, and it was just unbelievable to see how they do things so similarly but so different. So if you do the course, take that opportunity and run with it. You will not regret it. So some advice for any students considering to study at Federation or study this course. Just know that you will be a really valued member of the Federation community when you come and study here. And you will be given endless opportunities and endless moments to have fun. I think that's the biggest thing in this course is you get to have fun. We use resources found in early childhood and primary school settings that allow us to really understand what children do and how they play. There's never a boring class. So if you enjoy having fun, then you've come to the right spot because your lecturers will do just that, make every lesson fun. And I think too, the environment supports you to study smarter and not harder. So there's always help when you need it. You're given assignments that aren't boring and mundane, but get you actively thinking and really driven to understand what you're doing and how you can do it well. Looking forward, I'm really hoping to get into the primary school sector. I do love working in kindergarten currently, but primary school just really grabs my attention, and it's something that I've wanted for the last couple of years of my degree. So I'm really hoping to get stuck into that and see where it takes me because it really could go anywhere. So bring it on. Back to you, Ray. Thanks.
Thanks, Jordan. Good luck with the rest of the year. Now, pathways. There are lots of pathway options. If you don't have the entry requirements that you need to get into the teaching course you want, always remember that we'll be able to help you work out a pathway. I think that's the main thing to remember when thinking about entry requirements and pathways. On the screen, I've put our main pathway options into early childhood courses, and all of them can be used in a variety of ways. I won't list all the ways that they can fit together. That's just too involved. But just a couple of examples. You can use the FAST program to get into the Bachelor of Education Early Childhood, the Bachelor of Education Studies into the Bachelor of Education Early Childhood and Primary, a TAFE program into either degree, and so on. So depending on which area of study you're interested in, you can put these pathways together in a variety of ways. But the most important thing to remember is that if you need a pathway, in other words, if you don't have the entry requirements to start the teaching course that you want, we'll probably be able to help you. So just get in touch with us and we'll look at your individual options. I mentioned TAFE as a pathway just now, but TAFE offers a lot more than just pathways. The two programs on your screen at the moment, the Certificate 3 and the Diploma in Early Childhood Education and Care, can be used as a pathway into our early childhood degree, but they also offer excellent career options in their own right. The Certificate 3 is the entry-level qualification you'll need to be able to work in childcare within Victoria. It's a one-year course and will qualify you to work in centre-based care, in family daycare, preschool centres and so on. The diploma is a two-year course and will allow you to work in more senior positions in early childhood settings. They are both free TAFE courses, which make them fantastic options, and they don't require an ATAR to apply. Now, on the subject of TAFE, I'd like to introduce our third and final speaker. Steve Matheson is a TAFE graduate from a number of years ago and is now the Deputy Coordinator of the Federation University Children's Centre. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Ray. So just a little bit about myself. My career started as a chef, working in hotels and restaurants across the region. When I left school, I wanted to be either a chef or a kindergarten teacher, and at this point I was able to secure a job as a chef, and it was something I really wanted to do at the time, cooking for the next 18 years. I'm married and I have two children of my own. As my children become older, I really wanted to be home with them to help at night times, which was really not possible as a chef. At this time, I explored the option of pursuing my other passion, which was for early childhood education, looking into available courses and enrolling into the Diploma of Children's Services in 2002. I found going back to education was confronting and challenging, as I had not studied for quite some time and I was really worried about the work, both written and using computers. But it was also exciting and so much more than I thought childcare actually was. I worked as a diploma qualified educator for the next 5 years before being approached by the TAFE team to explore the option of doing some TAFE teaching in early childhood. So again, I went back and studied, completing my Certificate 4 in Teaching and Assessment, and then going on further to complete an associate degree in Teaching and Assessment. I really enjoyed the teaching side of things, but my passion has always been in an early childhood environment working with children and their families. I applied for a job to become Deputy Coordinator of Fed Uni Children's Centres, where I still currently hold this role, and I'm lucky enough to work with an amazing team of educators, including Certificate 3, Diploma and Bachelor trained early childhood teachers. I run the centre, which accommodates for up to 80 children per day, and we have a team of about 25 educators. With the industry expanding so much right at the moment, there are so many opportunities for childhood educators, both in our region and all over Australia. I see it as a very exciting time in early childhood education as the focus is becoming bigger and bigger all the time. Fed Uni TAFE offers both Certificate 3 and Diploma in Early Childhood Education, and the best parts, I believe, are the times for when you go on placement, where the students go out and spend time in all different centres putting theory into practice, theory that they've learned in the classroom, and then putting it into practice with the children in the centre. And they get to spend quality time working with the children, their families, and qualified educators. The other great thing is having facilities such as simulated prac room where the students get to do some hands-on work, learning about experiences that can be provided to the children, getting to do some things such as making Play-Doh, making rope dolls, all sorts of exciting activities. Some of the photos you've seen on these slides are exciting things we do in our centres, including Book Week, the Children's Art Show, and our Winter Solstice Lantern Walk. I really love the role I'm in now, and I'm very passionate about early childhood education and the important role we play in children and families' lives. I wish I'd studied earlier in my career as it's so rewarding seeing the children develop and grow through the time they spend at the centre. Thank you for listening and good luck, Steve.
Thanks to Steve, Jordan and Kylie, and thank you to everyone for tuning into our webinar today. Please don't hesitate to contact us if you have any questions.